This is Park Hill in Staten Island, New York, a community filled with African Americans and African migrants. African migrants mostly arrived here in the 90s during the civil conflicts in Liberia, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, and even Rwanda. According to a research by the University of California, their arrival was largely resisted by their hosts, African Americans, and hence struggle a lot to integrate, having to deal with stigma, taunts, and labeling as a burden to the community. That made the relationship between the two groups used to be strange, which led to violence, arrests, and deportations. Some say they were even stigmatized during the Ebola outbreak.
Speak, drums! Speak! Africa, the land of the human family.
But for many African Americans today, the black culture isn't only about saluting black leaders, it's also about connecting to their heritage and culture. Al Peters, an African American community leader in Staten Island, recalls the chaotic mood that once existed.
With respect to our fears about Africans coming over and taking our jobs, some of that is supported by people who feel that way, and then others in the African American community who understand who we are, we don't see it that way. So it depends on who you're talking to. So if you're talking to the conscious African American who has repatriated back psychologically and emotionally and spiritually back to Africa, they don't have that concept. But if you're talking to what is defined and lovingly identified as the nigger or the Negro, they may have a different concept with respect to, they may see continent Africans as a threat.
Fast forward to current-day Staten Island, the same community hosts the Christ Embassy Lutheran Church situated at Hosting Street. It's not just a place of worship, but an avenue where people from various backgrounds meet to foster ties and even tie the knots with their loved ones. Opened 10 years ago, the church was called the African Immigrants Church to bring immigrants from African countries together to worship. But the name was later changed to accommodate worshippers from other communities, especially African Americans.
Okay, it used to be the African Immigrant Ministry, but we changed the name to Christ Assembly Lutheran Church. When we first started, it was intended to bring the African community together to worship God. But later on, we found out that it was being too personal to say African ministry, but limiting it to only Africans. So we decided to change the name to Christ Assembly Lutheran Church to bring in people from all walks of life, to diversify everything. Because it's not only African that are worshiping here, we have other nationalities that are worshiping here with us. We have other Americans too that are worshiping here with us. So using that name, African ministry, we said it wasn't good. So we changed it to Christ Assembly Lutheran Church.
The church now accommodates other nationals, making it a center for peacemaking for various community members.
I think we have African American, we have African immigrant, we have Caribbeans as well worshiping with us. So we are vastly diverse. I would say it is cordial because before we came into this community, there were a lot of things that were going on wrong here. But since we came here, the neighbors here have appreciated us a lot. They have seen changes being made, and they have seen that their children are coming to join, especially on a Sunday. Or come here, the music. They love the music. Some of them will just pass by, will just come in the church, say, oh, we heard the music and we came in. So the music is bringing us together mostly. And I see that there is peace among us. When we come here, they don't disturb us, they don't bother us, and we don't bother them. Some of them even allow us to park even their houses. Especially on a Sunday, they give us spot for the park. These are church people. So the relationship between us and them, it is cordial because they're all happy because the church has come in the community and have brought light.
Anytime, whenever I need to talk with you.
Away from the church, on the other hand, Al Peters is using his studio to teach members of both communities about Black unity to promote the initiative of oneness through music and drama.
We beat these drums, the rhythms of these drums, for the unification of the African, home and abroad. We beat these drums for all the African sisters and brothers who came before us that made it possible for us to enjoy a quality of life that we take for granted. We beat these drums for brothers like you behind the camera to tell a story, unedited, about the African. We beat these. So the intercultural interaction with one another has been far more intense and intensified over the last couple of years and proved to be far more comfortable than it was unfamiliar to a lot of to a lot of African Americans 20, 35, 30 years ago.
There was no place in the community where the two groups meet to socialize because of personal differences. It's a Saturday night and the club is packed with members from both communities. The club's proprietor, Alex, says his idea is to open a common ground where both communities feel safe. He thought it was necessary to have a common ground which gave birth to the Club 1847. Unity is even reflected in the recruitment of staff. India O'Neill is one of the bartenders. Though she's an African American, India says while in the club, it's hard to distinguish between members of the two communities, which was not possible in the past. Today, the relationship between the two communities might not be perfect because there are still minor confrontations amongst the two groups. But it has improved greatly over the years thanks to the advocacy and other initiatives taken by leaders of both communities in Staten Island and the 1977 movie called Roots by Alex Haley, who traces roots back to Africa. This unity was displayed during the Black Heritage Day celebration in Staten Island in September this year, where Al Peters and his brother prayed for the ancestors for peace to last amongst each other.
Who will stand?